Bases are loaded, I'm bringing us home. I'm up to bat and I'm bringing us home. Bitch, Casper. When we're up to bat, we are swinging for the fences. Keep your eyes wide open and you won't have to miss it. Keep your eyes wide open and you will get to witness the best that's in the business. We're swinging for the fences.
What up, YouTube? Big G here. Penny Pinchers Transport, leased on the Schneider National, still since last June. Everything's still going pretty okay. I haven't bailed yet since I've owned my truck. So anyway, it's been a little bit of a crazy week. Got caught up in that snowstorm that hit the East Coast, which made me late for this Frito-Lay place here in Crest Hill, Illinois, pretty much part of suburb of Chicago. And it was supposed to be a drop and hook, but because I was 2 hours late, only second time I've ever been late. The first time I was only late 30 minutes at a place like a month after I was with them. This is the only second time I've been late. They refused to let me do a drop and hook. They didn't have no empties, so they said I had to live load. I ran out of hours completely right here on their property. So Schneider had to make a new appointment with them, and they're going to have me relay the load back to the Gary yard, which is about 43 miles from here. And then I'm gonna do that when my hours is up, like at 11:30, and grab a load that's sitting there, take it up to basically Columbus, Ohio, and I'll probably dead back home for the weekend because I'm going to the truck show. Yep, the big old truck show they have in Louisville, same one they do in the same one they do in Dallas. It's just, this is the, I guess you could say, more the Midwest one. So anyway, I want to go to that because I haven't been able to get to it last year. So it's been a couple years since I've been to one, just to get up there and check it out. I'm going Friday. I was going to do Friday and Saturday. I'm just going to go up there Friday and hang out. I guess it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So anyway, I'd like to see some cool ass trucks and a lot of good information. They got seminars, and they always give you a bunch of little free stuff for drivers and stuff like that. Little petty stuff. But anyway, I always like checking out the show trucks up there. I don't know how many people have them out there with the weather they've been having, but it'll be worth it. So, I had another repair I had to do on the truck last weekend. And it ran me roughly, basically the solenoid went bad on my starter, and you got to replace the whole thing, starter and solenoid. I bought it at the Stoops Freightliner dealer in Indianapolis, and it cost me $287 after my core charge. So I guess it's almost closer to like $350 without the core. So you almost get like $100 back. At least there he did. And plus I bought the two belts that are on these Cascadias, which mine's a 2013, and both belts roughly ran me $100. I think the big one was like 70 and the small one was like 35, somewhere like that. And my mechanic, he ended up putting everything on for like the starter and the belts and everything. He did it all for like 180, which was a steal because basically I was sitting at a fuel pump, and long story short, at a Love's, and my truck almost didn't start. And I was able to, somehow it fired up after sitting at a pump for 45 minutes. I had drivers mad and everything. Got it started. Don't know how it started. Went to my delivery, shut off for 2 hours. It was live and load. Started right up. Got all the way back to Indianapolis to the, hold on a minute. Whenever people back up next to my truck, it makes me nervous. You know what I mean? I got a JB Hunt backing in next to he got really close, which this is a POS place here The parking is insane. So anyway, I got to the Schneider yard and filled up just to put a few gallons in to hold me over until the weekend. So I took back off. And needless to say, their mechanics won't touch owner-ops trucks. But they did bring their yard horse out there and push the trailer and push started me so I could drop my empty bobtail to the house. And that was a Friday evening. And then my mechanic come over, jerked off the starter. It took him about 3 hours. Ran it up there. And make sure I got the right one, and then he put the other one on. So that was my second repair. It roughly probably cost me about $600 for everything. But if that would have happened on the road, if I would have broke down, in Ohio, that would have been a whole nother thing. Would I have towed it somewhere? I don't know. I might have been able to try to get another push start or something and park it at a safe place and see if I could find someone to fix it, or pay my mechanic an extra couple $100 to drive out there with his tools and do it right there wherever it's sitting. We haven't had to do that. Thank God I haven't had no road breakdowns, knock on wood. This truck's been real good to me. I constantly keep an eye on things, so try to catch stuff before it happens. So that's the name of the game. I got lucky. I've heard some bad stories on YouTube about Lone Mountain trucks. But I believe you can buy lemons. I bought a 2016 minivan that only had 20,000 miles, and it's a piece of crap. I got all kinds of problems with the power doors, and I believe that can happen. And I bought a Kia like 7 years ago and almost put 200,000 miles on it. Never had really no problems with it. So I always believe, it's the luck of the draw. You know what I mean? So anyway, I got lucky with Lone Mountain. I have no complaints. So I have no complaints there. So that was this week's snowstorm repairs on the truck. So hopefully it'll end up. I did get here, was supposed to do a drop and hook at 11:15 this morning. I was about an hour and 45 minutes late because of the snowstorm. I left Winterville, Ohio. Go figure, Winterville. Had to do that Highway 30, twisted road, 3 in the morning with like 4 inches of snow on the ground. Did like 35 the whole way. It took me 64 miles. Should have took me, maybe an hour and a half. Ended up taking me like 2.5 hours because of the weather. That's completely empty. And, I just want to be careful. Narrow roads with curves and everything else. So I just took my time with that. So I did that. Dropped and hooked there. Dropped my empty. Grabbed my loaded. And then going out of Canton, because that's where I was going to, Canton, Ohio. It was rush hour by the time I got there. And the snowstorm, every quarter mile, half mile, there's a car off the road. They got their major bypass for 77 closed off. It goes up to 80, so you got to go the opposite direction and reconnect. So when I got up in 80, of course, the turnpikes, they always take really good care of them. And it was pretty much clear, all the way over here to Chicago. So I was able to do smooth sailing. I only stopped for my little 30-minute DOT break. Grabbed some breakfast because I started at 3 in the morning. That was probably like at 9. And got here and ran out of hours. I told the guy I had 2 hours left. He goes, "Oh, we'll get you by 3." I'm like, "I'll be out of hours." So by the time Schneider worked everything out and everything had sent me messages, I was down to like 25 minutes. Plus I was helping one of our newer company drivers. You can tell a guy probably just started driving like last week or something, been cut loose from his little ride along or whatever, but he was having a real hard time parking here, and this is a pain to park. So I had a hard time because we got maybe 25 feet to moving 75 feet worth of equipment, to back it in here without hitting trucks on each side. So, he was stressing, and he had 3 other drivers out there trying to help him. I'm like, look, just do what you was taught, And the only thing I told him, just get as close to all our trucks as you can, because he didn't have a lot of room out that way. So that helped him out a lot. And I just stood at the back so he wouldn't hit my truck, because he backed up next to it. But he did all right. He was sweating pretty bad because he had too many guys telling him what to do, and that can be overwhelming. And I get it. People want to be helpful, but sometimes you can do it better if you're left alone. But yeah, you like the eyeball on the backside, so you don't have to get out every 5 minutes. And, if you don't see, you got to get out. I mean, you're just part of it. You got to get out. Unless you can make the maneuvers to where you can see. But, prediction is always a good thing. If you've been doing this for a while, 18 years for me, so you got a pretty good prediction. My last video, I had talked about lumpers, and someone had commented on something about it. And yeah, you're right. A lot of time lumper fees are already included in the bill, but like 13 years ago, I drove for an owner-operator and his wife. They had a couple of trucks, and sometimes we'd get to a location, and it was a lumper unload, and it was wee hours at night. And this was a particular warehouse called Deb's down in Elgin or something like that, Texas, way down at the bottom. And it was a brand new warehouse at that time. And when she had originally, because they strictly used that getloaded.com, because they didn't have no real locked in customers, which is a hard way of trying to run a business. It's consistently off of a load board. It may not be bad for one truck, but they were trying to do 4 trucks, and the wife was doing all the dispatching. Well, you're trying to get another quarter or 50 cents out of a C.H. Robinson load, because basically you want to get as much as you can, because what you don't get, if she has a quarter, and that load, say, pays $2.50 a mile or whatever it may pay, and you get $2.25 for every mile you drive, that 1,000 miles or whatever you're driving, she's getting a quarter for every one of your miles. That broker sitting in that basement looking at that computer, or that, and not only just your quarter for every mile, she might have 7 or 8 other trucks she's getting quarters off per mile. So think about what she's making just sitting in her house brokering loads out, and she's not even burning no fuel or anything. So, but this particular C.H. Robinson broker did not tell her. So that broker probably made a lot of money off that load, because they're probably holding on to like another $1 or something, $1.50 or whatever the case may be. She goes, well, that doesn't really cover the load. When I got down there, and the broker was like $160 or whatever it was. And this was, like I said, 13, 14 years ago. But I think the guy's name was Trucker Brad, or Brad the Trucker. And you're right, they are normally involved. And back then, I didn't do a lot of reefer or grocery runs. I did a lot of flatbed. But it was one of them jobs where you come in Monday, and you didn't know what trailer you're pulling. We could be on flatbed this week. It could be van. It could, you never knew. But I remember that particular run really good, because they said they ended up getting screwed on it, because she didn't know there was a lumper and didn't ask, because they were new owner ops that tried to buy 4 trucks and run a company. And needless to say, they didn't last more than a couple years. Great people, good intentions, but I try to, they paid me good. I made good money off of it, but it was a partnership, and it didn't work out because of disagreements. When you pull up the fuel pumps and the credit cards don't work, that kind of makes you think about some things when you're driving out here on the road. So luckily that's only happened once. I learned my lesson off of that. And so yeah, that was a one incident on that lumper thing. But yeah, it just sucks that, these are the customers. We're bringing their product, and they're basically going to sort it out and send it to their stores, and they're charging us to take their product off our trucks, or the owner's truck, or the shipper. It's I just think it's a crooked deal, and that's just my opinion. I know it is included. It's still crooked. It's like we're paying them guys this hourly wage to unload their shit when it's their shit. Everybody else just takes off, and that's just my opinion. So anyway, I know I'm japping a lot, but I haven't made no videos in a while, because I get grinding, and when you get done driving, you're looking for loads on the load board, and you're just you know, maybe going through Facebook for a few minutes. I don't do a lot of Facebook, man. I'll post stuff or share stuff, but I don't really get into all the political crazy stuff. It's a madhouse, but I just like to see what some friends are doing, but a lot of times it's ditto, the same thing. So I just try to chill, man. I wish I had the motivation to do more of these videos and not make such long ones. So it is what it is. But it's Big G, penny pinchers, man. My 2013 Freightliner Cascadia from Lone Mountain is still doing good. And I, you know, I obviously have like a $13.45 a month payment. It's like a little bit over 3-year loan. And, you know, it helps because you could be paying $8.99, $1,000 a week for a lease truck that you may never own. I don't know. It just sounds crazy. And that's why I never went that route. Of course, you gotta, if you ain't got no money to put down, that's maybe the way you gotta start. If you can find a lease you can walk away from to make enough money where you can bank to put that down payment on your own truck, that's always an option. Because it's going to be real hard off of company money. But hell, if you're paying $1,000 a week, it may be company money anyway. So, you know, it is what it is. And I always work 5 days a week. I don't feel like I need to be out here for more than 5 days a week. I'm already gone, you know, that 5 days. Yes, sometimes I get past the house 2-3 times a week. Last week I got through the house 3 times this week. I haven't got back to the house, but I started late Monday, and I'll be getting back in Thursday, basically tomorrow, and driving to Louisville, which is like 2 hours from my house, to do the truck show thing, go check out things, and that's pretty much it. But I don't know. So anyway, it's just drives me nuts when it's a drop and hook customer and there's no empties, which is not uncommon. It happens. Sometimes we have to go somewhere to get a trailer. They'll just have you bob till your next customer, depending on who the customer is. But just because I was an hour and 45 minutes late, although Schneider knew that because I called them and put it in on my Qualcomm, gave them a big heads up like 5 hours before I got here. Hey, I'm going to be behind. I caught a bunch of weather, let them know the whole deal. And they were aware of it, which this is not Schneider's fault. So it's the customer. We just have customers like this. And there's a lot of, Frito-Lay is one of them. And there's a couple other ones. But, you know, if it's a drop and hook and they tell me, okay, just drop your trailer and bobtail, you know, where you're going next to get your next load. That's what they told me to do. Well, they didn't care because I was late. They weren't going to let me leave just the trailer sitting here. They wanted me to wait on the trailer getting unloaded. I said, I don't have the time. I said, I was supposed to do a drop and hook. I got 3 hours. I got caught in a snowstorm, and the guy was just rude about it. Like, I don't know, and he grabbed my paperwork. I'm going to fold this because I don't really want to show any of the Schneider business on here. But he put late, real big, late. And he said he'll try to squeeze me in on the next shift. I'm like, whatever. So I went off duty right then. I'm like, I ain't moving my truck. So, it is what it is. So, I've been here 4.5 hours, and I won't be leaving until my 10 is up, and I'll take this over the Gary and drop it and grab my load and go. I guess I'll have to work out the pay or whatever. I'm sure, I hope they pay me my same amount. I still pulled the load for the same distance in a very hard pull because of the storms and the weather and everything. So hopefully they don't ding me on that. But it is what it is, man. Well, that's all I got. I don't know if any of you other YouTube truckers out there are going to the truck show. You may see me tomorrow. I may see you. I do watch a lot of YouTube videos. A lot. Not just like drivers, but a little bit of everything. Comedy. Just a little bit of everything. I definitely watch way more than I post or put up videos. But this thing's getting kind of long. We're almost into 20 minutes. I'll holler. I'm out. Big G, I'm out of here. Be careful out there. And hopefully this spring will actually be spring very soon. And we can get the grinding a little bit better out here. You guys have a good one. I'm out. Big G.